What's an event loop? So we're going to be talking about what is an event loop, and this is the question you may get asked in an interview directly or implicitly, what they're trying to see if you know the basics. Event loop is a very core concept in JavaScript and Node.js. So let's get started. So as you might know, JavaScript is a single-threaded language. What that means is that it can only run one command at a time. It basically runs code line by line, which is fine, and that's how most languages work. But JavaScript is used for UI and long-running processes. But what if you need to run a function or task that will take a long time, and you don't want to block all the other things that are happening in your web page or web application, such as click events, scroll animations, and so on. For example, let's say I'm doing some stuff in my code, like adding or console logging. For some reason, I have to call a function set timeout. I have to call a timeout, meaning that after 5 seconds, do something. But that doesn't mean I want it to stop doing everything else. I still want my button events to work. I still want my effects and animations to work. I still want my validations to work. This is where the event loops come in. To the next slide. So event loop is this process that's running in the background continuously, like it keeps running. And whenever you do something, and that's a blocking thing, it wouldn't execute it right away. Instead, it'll put that into the queue, like so. Then on every iteration, we'll check set timeout and see has it been 5 seconds. So we know this needs to be called after 5 seconds. So we'll come here, check if it's been 5 seconds, and leave it there. Now let's say 5 seconds pass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I check it every time. And now let's say 5 seconds has passed, and this needs to be called now. So what it's going to do is bring it out of the queue, call the function that we passed it here, and this, execute the function. Once it's done executing it, it'll go back to running this event loop. So this way, we can have code that runs line by line, but still have code that can run when it's needed to. Usually these things come up. The event loop is used pretty much in everything. So if you're fetching data, like using fetch or XHR, or if you have click events, everything basically gets stacked into the queue. And the event loops come in and goes through from the first thing, first in, first out. So FIFO, so it goes to the first item in the queue, runs it, second item, third item, fourth item, and so on. Once the queue is empty, it goes back to doing the UI stuff. So that's great, but that doesn't mean the queue is like a magic thing where you can throw any task and it will just keep the UI and everything else working. For example, if I were to run a for loop with 10 million iteration as a target, that would block the event loop completely. The property of the event loop is that whatever function is here, it'll run it fully and then go to the next thing or next message. And if I'm running a counter from 0 to 10 million, that will block the event loop, which in result will block the UI. So that's pretty much it for the event loop. Event loops allows us to have async, promises, clicks, events, and so on. Hopefully, if you like this video, if you have a question, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe.